You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Coming in at 195 pounds from Studio A, he is the reigning, defending, undisputed host of the Ring of Thunder, Sexy Thor! So, some real funny business happened last episode, huh? As I was listening back, I seemed to notice a strange static, especially when I was trying to talk about all the cool stuff Alexa was doing last week. Really just the fireball, but yeah. And so it seems maybe we have outside forces trying to tamper with the Ring of Thunder, either trying to hack into our broadcast or trying to disrupt our broadcast. Do we have an enemy out there? Amazing. Does somebody care to be an enemy out there? I know on Simon Miller's Impact Ups and Downs on the What Culture Wrestling YouTube channel, he's got the little ICU disruption flashes from Sami Callihan. So Sami likes to disrupt Simon's videos from time to time. I mean, does Sami Callihan know about the Ring of Thunder? Is there some other hacker? Is it Mustafa Ali? Because I just said Mustafa Ali and not Mustafa Ali like it is actually correctly pronounced. Who is the enemy out there that is trying to make my podcast all staticky and make people be like, eh? I know, I was sure as I was listening to it through the car speakers, I was like, eh. So maybe there's an enemy out there who will reveal themselves in time. But in the meantime, it is time for us to talk about last week's wrestling stuff, as we do on the Ring of Thunder. I don't know why I'm talking like this. So Raw started out with Randy Orton after having had a fireball in the face the previous week. Pretty much just going over everything with him not burning Alexa Bliss and him having the hatred, and he burned the Fiend alive and he's going to go on to win the Royal Rumble and all that. But what really struck me was that the burn mask he was wearing, it was almost straight up exactly just like Corey Taylor's mask in Slipknot from about the mid-2010s, I want to say. I don't know if he's still wearing that same mask nowadays, but yeah, it looked literally just like Corey Taylor's latest, or somewhat latest, mid-2010s latest mask in Slipknot. It's pretty great. In fact, even Roman Reigns got a kick out of it too, because in the picture of his mask on WWE's Instagram, Roman just commented with a crying laughing emoji. But those two like to rib each other about those things a lot. When Roman came back in August for Payback to become Universal Champion, Tribal Chief, what have you, and apparently his teeth, which had been whitened over his hiatus, have been super whitened. I was trying to remember what Randy said, but he compared him to Mr. Ed or one of those cartoon horse with the super white teeth. So yeah, those two like to play at each other all the time. So yeah, Randy responded about Alexa and the Fiend, who hasn't been seen yet, or have they? Because then we had Alexa's Playground later on in the show. Her guest was going to be Asuka. And so Asuka came out and she was just like, ah! She had a whole lot of nervous energy about her. She wasn't too certain about how this was going to go. And she was being very complimentary of Alexa, oh, I'm such a big fan of yours. She's like, oh, thank you. And she was just trying to be all super nice and energetic and fun, so Alexa doesn't go all evil on her. And her first mistake was she sat down on the swing next to Alexa, and she was just like, oh, no, someone's sitting there. There was no one sitting there, but, invisible forces, entities, demons, whatever you want to call it. And so she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And let me think, what else did she say? Yeah, she said, oh yeah, yowie wowie. And Alexa just got real fucking serious, and I was just like, you're not allowed to say that. And she was just like, oh, I'm sorry, it's okay. And Alexa was getting really down about, the Fiend not being there, and Asuka was just like, it's okay, the Fiend is still here somewhere. Then Alexa would hit that new notch of getting to be real evil, and Asuka was just like, oh crap, and she was just like, hey, let's dance. And so she had the music guy put on her own theme song, and Asuka was just dancing, and Alexa was just getting even more pissed. And she had them cut the music, and then the little rocking horse that was on the other side of the ring started to rock back and forth by itself, because ghosts and demons and entities and what have you. And Asuka was just like, oh shit, okay, I'm gone, bye. So, yeah, pretty awesome segment. And also, Alexa also declared for the Royal Rumble match. And some people were just like, oh, Asuka shouldn't have acted all scared and all that. It's just like, well, yeah, Asuka was actually right to do that. And Asuka was the right person to do that, because I couldn't see Charlotte doing that. And I mean, Alexa already destroyed Lacey Evans, who we'll get to in a second. And, Nikki Cross, she destroyed her so bad in that feud that it was a feud that actually only took one match. And, yeah, like I said, Asuka's got that personality for it, so she can really sell the fact that Alexa's going to be someone to be scared of, because she's all creepy and hocus pocus and all that. It's like the whole thing of people asking why Hikaru Shida was so afraid of Abaddon when she'd already beaten her, and Shida was just like, if you get into a fight with a crocodile and survive, you're not really looking to fight the crocodile again, which is exactly how it should be. If you're not scared of them, then we don't think they're a threat to you, and we don't care that you're about to face this person, because it's like, well, they're not scared of them, and they don't seem scary to us, so why should we care? And then, of course, there's the smartasses that'll be like, oh, because Alexa's nothing to be scared of. I hope you eat a fireball to the face. Then the main event was Alexa and Asuka in a non-title match, and Alexa just came out her old regular hoppity-boppity self, and she and Asuka were going toe-to-toe, and Asuka started to get the advantage, and then everything changed around, and Alexa got a couple of messy Princess Leia looking buns, and she had black lipstick and had a totally different garb, and then she just whooped Asuka's ass all over the place, and finally hit her with the Sister Abigail to get the 1, 2, 3. And then things changed around again. We got normal, which is a very relative term. The happy-go-lucky one with, the pigtails and the corduroys and all that. And, yeah. Oh, yeah, and then she just looked all serious and was just like, let me in. Which she didn't actually say let me in. She just mimed it to the speakers playing the Fiend's usual let me in. And, yeah, it was just awesome. I watched this main event after getting home from a rather irritating end to the work night, and watching all that just put a smile right back on my face, and it just reminded me why Alexa is just one of my favorites. And sort of ditto to the week before when she threw the fireball. Like, it wasn't a bad night at work, but I was just like, meh. And then I saw Triple H versus Randy Orton, and then Alexa throwing the fireball, and I was just like, huh. So all good stuff. And things that happened in Raw that were less cool. In fact, they're just weird. But Charlotte Flair was having a match with Peyton Royce, Lacey Evans' tag team partner, and you heard, "Woo!" And then Lacey and Ric Flair came out, and Lacey was wearing one of Ric's robes. And Peyton almost got the distraction win from that. But then Charlotte got her in the figure 8 leg lock, and Peyton tapped, and Charlotte was going to be damn sure sending a message, because then she put Peyton in the figure 8 again, and was just straight up torturing her, because she was at fuck this shit levels, and was on the verge of beating up her father and this nasty, as Lacey puts it. And while Charlotte and Asuka did go through 2 different adventures on Raw, they did reconvene on SmackDown to beat the Riot Squad. Ruby actually had Asuka rolled up for the 3 count, but Billie Kay had the ref distracted trying to help the squad. Asuka hit Ruby with something that I think is the Codebreaker, but no longer allowed to be called the Codebreaker in WWE. Then Charlotte followed with a natural selection for the 1-2-3. Billie tried to make it up to Ruby and Liv by getting them in the Women's Royal Rumble match, but they told her there is no us. Sad Billie. And now I go to commercials, brought to you by Seth Rollins Watch. When WWE on Fox misreported Seth Rollins coming back, we'll keep you in the loop for whenever the Beast/Kingslayer Messiah comes back to burn it down. Seth Rollins Watch, because we're all waiting for Becky. Just kidding, Seth. If you ever listen to this, you're still one of my guys, and I definitely look forward to your return, because I want to know if you turn face and are still or if you're going to be the eye-taking Messiah. But you're the tribal chief. Or, you're not the tribal chief. Roman's the tribal chief. You're the Messiah. Hail to both the tribal chief and the Messiah. We love you. And oh hey, did you know Retribution got another win? And they're actually going with the Mustafa Ali wants to hurt Kofi for seizing the opportunity caused by Ali's injury and turning it into Kofi Mania sort of thing. We're already doing it! Kofi's got a broken jaw from the whole thing with the Hurt Business, so they're all beating up on Xavier Woods while Kofi posts videos on Twitter basically being like, wow, really? You can't just talk to me about this? But yeah, after all that, here's some commercials.
What is the Rusted Robot Podcast? Hey there, this is Sean.
This is Josh.
And this is Kitty.
We're your weekly geekly pop culture news. We talk about comic books,
Movies.
Anime.
celebrity deaths,
Collectibles.
Toys.
movie news,
Upcoming trailers.
and so much more. Check us out on the ESO Network and everywhere podcasts are found. Your nerdy news specialist, the Rusted Robot Podcast.
My name is Mark McCray, and I'm the author of The Best Saturdays of Our Lives.
I'm Dan Klink, co-host of the Best Saturdays of Our Lives podcast.
The Best Saturdays of Our Lives features programming trends from the 1966 television season all the way through the last hurrah of the early digital age of the 1990s.
On the show, if it's animated, we talk about it.
Order your signed copy today at tbsool.com.
And listen to the podcast at esonetwork.com and all podcast platforms.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold Superman's rights to DC for? Or which popular football star was the Sam Wilson the Falcons' physical appearance based on? You can find all that and more at the History of Comic Books podcast, a podcast dedicated to the creators, events, history, and the companies that made the great comic book medium. Hosted and created by your friendly neighborhood JT Wheatley. Please give it a listen at iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all our podcasting platforms. Thank you, and go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book.
Look, we gotta talk.
Yeah, Thunder Talk.
We're going all kinds of sideways with that sweet nerd junk.
Woke nerd junk.
It's topical,
Political.
Dare I say radical.
We've got all your latest news and reviews.
Hot music.
And a whole lot of comedy.
but it ain't for kids.
Definitely mature content.
So let's talk.
Let's talk Thunder Talk.
Thunder Talk is a proud member of the ESO network. Welcome back. So we've got some dusty classic results for you for this week. On NXT, Leon Ruff and Kushida defeated Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory to advance. Lucha House Party defeated Imperium in a stunning upset. Then when Eichner and Bartel were leaving, they were met by their stablemate Alexander Wolf, who was last seen in NXT UK during the beginning of the Heritage Cup tournament. Then Karrion Kross destroyed Ashanti the Adonis, then his partner for the Dusty Classic, Desmond Troy, so a new team was needed, and that would be Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher, who would beat Ciampa in the fight pit in the NXT main event, then team with him to beat Tony Nese and Arya Daivari on 205 Live. And for me personally, Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher are my pick to win it all because the unusual teams that are put together for said Dusty Classic usually do. There's Finn Balor and Samoa Joe, the Broserweights, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, and there's Aleister Black and Ricochet, who got to then challenge for the NXT Tag Team Championship at TakeOver New York in 2019. Then the next night challenged for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania 35. I knew I'd get a reference in there somehow. So yeah, Ciampa and Thatcher seem to me to be that pairing this year. And the Women's Dusty Classic started this week while we're on the subject of 205 in the first ever women's match on 205 Live. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell defeated Gigi Dolan and Cora Jade, who used to be Elena Black and was seen just a few months ago on AEW Dark. Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter upset the powerhouse team of Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez after Io Shirai intervened and threw Martinez over the announce desk with the ref's back turned, and Catanzaro did a spin in the air that should be called simply "Fuck Gravity" and pinned the former NXT UK Women's Champion Toni Storm. Speaking of tag teams gone wild and someone named Storm, oddly specific segue there. Over at Impact, the Good Brothers were just running roughshod all over the place with Kenny Omega like they've been doing for the last month and a half, when Chris Sabin came out and told them that even though Alex Shelley is still out of action, he's still got a partner, and out came James Storm. Now, I feel kind of gaslighted here because Sabin and Storm teamed up recently and called themselves Beer Guns, mashup of Motor City Machine Guns and Beer Money. Then that team was dropped when Alex Shelley came back like the next week. And now they're just back and acting like it's the first time. Like, what the hell, man? Anyway, this first time again team wanted to challenge the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag Team Championship when the familiar wail and riff started playing, and it was Matt Hardy and Private Party taking a little field trip from Jacksonville. They wanted to challenge for the tag titles because Matt wants Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy to be kings like him. They fought in the main event with Tony Khan and Jerry Lynn, who showed up in the paid ad and revealed they were in Impact's building, watching on, and Jerry Lynn actually held Chris Sabin's leg and Private Party hit the gin and juice, and are the number one contenders for the Impact World Tag Team Championship. How about that? The following night on Dynamite, Private Party and Matt Hardy faced Matt Sydal and Top Flight, and Big Money Matt's influence finally took over when Mark Quinn was on the top rope and Dante Martin was trying to counter and take him down, but when the ref's back was turned, Isaiah Cassidy hit Dante with a steel chair to the ribs, and Mark looked shocked at first, then just smiled and hit the shooting star press for the 3 count. Welcome to the dark side, Private Party. They'll be taking on the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag Team Championship at the Impact Plus mini pay-per-view No Surrender on February 13th. I'll probably be working then, but I will be off for NXT TakeOver the next day. And what's better than having a wrestling thing on Valentine's Day? Doubling up on wrestling things on Valentine's Day. There was also Cody almost squashing Peter Avalon until Jade Cargill came out to distract him, so Avalon got some offense in until Cody got him in the figure 4. Avalon smacked Cody, and when Cody was going to hit him in the face, Avalon tapped out because his new gimmick now is he's pretty Peter Avalon and he is vain AF. And there was a segment where Sting wanted to congratulate Darby Allin in the ring because a DM simply won't do, and Team Taz challenged Darby and Sting to a street fight, which will happen at the Revolution pay-per-view coming sometime in February. Also, the Dark Order and Hangman Page teamed up one more time, and then John Silver got down on one knee and asked Hangman Page the question every cowboy wants to hear. will you join the Dark Order? Hangman looked so heartbroken, as he really wanted to, all over his face, which, God, that sounded weird coming out. And he just really wanted to, but he can't commit to a group again because it just went so badly last time. Basically set in context thing. That's pretty much what he said. And everybody celebrated because they almost expected for him to say yes. And they even had banners that came down that said, he said yes, and all that. But alas, it was not to be, and Hangman just took a bottle of alcohol and went off to go get drunk, all lonely like. And then Jericho and MJF beat Santana and Ortiz and Sammy and Hager to become the official tag team of the Inner Circle. But Sammy and Jake Hager won overall because they got a video message from Sammy Hagar cheering them on. At least the Red Rockers in their corner. Miro made Chuck Taylor, now known as Charles Taylor, call Miro his best friend in front of Orange Cassidy, and another match was made for Beach Break with Jon Moxley, Pac, and Rey Fenix taking on Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. That's gonna be wild. Now let's talk about Roman Reigns and the funny coincidences that make me such a big fan of his. It always seems like he's there for me after a rough Friday night at work after I get home. And this goes back to late 2019, when I would close at DashCon on Fridays with someone who has been there a long time and equally takes a long-ass time to close. If you've done the whole DashCon thing, and you know, you know. So late Fridays, I'd always come home and put on SmackDown and watch Roman beat the shit out of Corbin for the 87th week in a row, and it was a nice piece of normalcy. Nice, awesome way to, blow off steam after that kind of night at work. Then Roman was on his way to finally reclaiming the Universal Championship that he never lost. Then March 2020 happened, and DashCon went, and Roman went on hiatus for his family, and there was a new normal for about 4.5 months. Then Roman came back, got the title he never lost back, and since then has been the first thing on my TV screen when I put on SmackDown, and I try to never take that for granted again. I mean, I was already not trying to take it for granted again after, everything that happened in late 2018, which ultimately found of an amazing night in Rawlanta. But yeah, after this, and then after the whole pandemic hiatus, definitely not trying to take that for granted again. But what am I getting with all this? What am I getting at? Well, last Friday night, I got some news at work that of course causes more easily avoidable pains in the ass, but of course they end up happening anyway. But especially as I try to get this podcast done and out by Mondays or earlier. And when I got out of said meeting, I put on the Fox app on my phone because it was a few minutes into SmackDown. Roman was in the middle of addressing Adam Pearce's quote-unquote injury and the whole card subject to change thing, and was talking about the parts of him that have been hurting, and he still shows up. For example, he said his ankles have been hurting since college, and he still shows up, and he never misses an appearance. And he said it took his health being at risk and a pandemic to keep him away. But when I turned the show on the app, the first thing Roman said when it came on was, "My back hurts. My back hurts because I've been carrying this damn company for years." And I laughed hard, and I was like, "Heard." Gotta love those little things. Then Adam Pearce versus Paul Heyman was booked as the main event because 2021 just keeps getting better and better. And when Paul tried to get out of it, Roman made him actually commit to it. Then as Paul was heading to the ring, he all of a sudden had an injury, and he had a big old grin on his face and said, "Card subject to change." Roman came out and hit Adam with a Superman punch, then a hooded Kevin Owens, who was banned from the building thanks to Roman, attacked him and hit him with a pop-up powerbomb through the announce table. Damn. With all that good stuff in the books, we've got the go-home show, the go-home Raw, before the Royal Rumble, with Drew McIntyre and Goldberg coming face-to-face. Alexa takes on Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, so that'll be real interesting to see the shenanigans there. And Matt Riddle is doing a Hurt Business gauntlet, where he has to beat MVP Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin to get another opportunity at Bobby Lashley and his United States Championship. Color me intrigued. But color me more intrigued for the Asuka-Alexa Raw Women's Championship opportunity, because I don't think Alexa's had a singles championship opportunity since summer 2019, when Alexa and Nikki first became friends, and it looked like Alexa was using Nikki to try to get the SmackDown Women's Championship, and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, no, she actually knows the meaning of friendship, and then they ran the women's tag title division and all that. You know the rest. But, yeah, it's been a long-ass time since her last championship opportunity, that's for sure. But you know what isn't going to be a long-ass time? Well, hopefully finding out who's been messing with my broadcast with the whole static and all that. And also, of course, what won't be a long-ass time is the next Ring of Thunder episode, because it's always going to be week to week, because I can't help but always do one week to week. And that's the 1, 2, 3. Thanks for locking up with me in the Ring of Thunder. Kick butts, not nuts.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.